What if finding your soulmate wasn't just a matter of destiny but of deep inner preparation? What if the one destined for you, your so-called other half, showed up in your life, and you simply weren't ready to meet them? We often romanticize the idea of soulmates as something magical, cosmic, fated. But the truth is, even when destiny offers you this rare chance, love alone is not enough. Respect, admiration, self-awareness, trust, and shared values. These are the pillars that turn a divine connection into a lasting, conscious relationship. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, believed that true connection begins within, that until you meet yourself, you will never fully meet the other. In this video, we're going to explore 5 powerful reflections from Carl Jung that will change the way you think about soulmates, and more importantly, how to truly prepare yourself to live a deep, conscious, and resilient love, because meeting your soulmate is only the beginning. The real work is becoming the person who can walk beside them. We'll uncover how inner shadow work, authenticity, and individuation are just psychological concepts, but essential pathways to building a relationship rooted in mutual admiration, spiritual growth, and emotional sobriety. And when we get to the final 2 reflections, the ones Jung held most sacred, you'll see how love can evolve into something far greater than attraction or romance, something that holds the potential to create a truly harmonious and courageous family. So stay with me to the end, because if you've ever longed for a relationship that elevates your soul rather than entangles your wounds, this might just be the wake-up call you've been waiting for. 1. The soulmate as psychological complement. Anima, animus. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of 2 personalities is like the contact of 2 chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." But here's what most people miss. Transformation doesn't begin with the other. It begins within. According to Jung, we all carry inside us an unconscious counterpart of the opposite gender. In men, it's called the anima, the inner feminine. In women, it's the animus, the inner masculine. These archetypes shape how we perceive, idealize, and relate to potential partners. So, when we say soulmate, Jung would ask, is it really love? Or just projection? Have you ever felt instantly drawn to someone, almost as if you've known them forever? That deep magnetic pull, that's often your psyche projecting your inner anima or animus onto them. They're not just a person anymore. They become a mirror of your deepest longings, wounds, and ideals. The problem, if you haven't done the inner work, you're not falling in love with them. You're falling in love with your own unconscious image of who they could be. This is why Jung emphasized the importance of integrating these inner parts before seeking them in someone else, because if we don't, we set ourselves up for disillusionment, expecting the other person to complete us, to fill our inner voids, to be our emotional savior. Think of a man who has never confronted his emotional vulnerability. He might be drawn to a nurturing, intuitive woman, not realizing that what he's truly seeking is connection with his own inner feminine. Or a woman who rejects her inner assertiveness might idolize a dominant, decisive partner, when what she really needs is to develop that strength within herself. You mentioned in your reflection the importance of becoming someone admirable, someone who cultivates inner values, personal care, and emotional strength. Jung would completely agree, because when you fail to become whole on your own, your relationships become desperate attempts to borrow that wholeness from someone else, and that's a heavy burden for any love to carry. True soulmates don't complete each other, they complement each other, consciously. They're not to halves becoming one, they're to whole beings, walking side by side, facing life with respect, trust, and mutual growth. So before you search for your soulmate out there, ask yourself, have I met the parts of me I usually project onto others? Because the more conscious you become of your own inner anima or animus, the less likely you are to fall into fantasy, and the more ready you are to love the real person in front of you. And that, Jung would say, is where real intimacy begins. 2. Individuation. Preparing for the encounter, Carl Jung believed that we can only truly meet another soul when we've first met ourselves. He called this lifelong journey individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, beyond masks, roles, and inherited expectations. It's not about becoming perfect, it's about becoming authentic. In your reflection, you spoke beautifully about the importance of developing values that make someone admirable: kindness, honesty, respect. Jung would say, yes, but not as a performance. Those qualities must be rooted in your essence, not worn like a costume to attract someone, but lived as an expression of your inner truth. Too many people go searching for love, hoping to be rescued, hoping someone will see past their insecurities and make them whole. But Jung warns us, the soulmate is not your salvation. The soulmate is your mirror, and if you haven't yet walked through your own shadows, what you see in that mirror may frighten or disappoint you. Individuation means becoming whole, not flawless, not finished, but aware of your wounds, your light, your contradictions, and at peace with them. Think of two people entering a relationship from a place of emotional hunger, both hoping the other will fix them, validate them, complete them. What starts as passion quickly becomes pressure. One feels smothered, the other abandoned, both feel misunderstood. Now imagine the opposite, two individuals who've each taken the time to explore their own depths. They know what triggers them, they've wrestled with their past, they have values, not just because they were told to, but because they've chosen them. When they meet, it's not to be rescued, it's to walk together. They challenge each other to grow. They don't demand perfection, they support evolution. That's the kind of love that endures. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That's the real preparation for love. Not polishing a version of yourself to be admired, but diving deep into your soul until admiration becomes authenticity. So, if you're waiting for your soulmate, the best thing you can do is start becoming the kind of person your soulmate would feel safe to love. Not because you're flawless, but because you're real. 3. Projection and the illusion of the soulmate. At some point in life, most of us have asked the question, what if I already met my soulmate and it didn't work out? It's a haunting thought. But Carl Jung would offer a sobering answer. Maybe it didn't work because it wasn't real. It was a projection. Jung warned us that the romantic idea of a soulmate can often be nothing more than a powerful illusion, not because love isn't real, but because we don't always see the person in front of us clearly. Instead, we unconsciously project onto them the qualities we haven't yet discovered or accepted in ourselves. The love we feel is real, but the image we fall in love with might not be. You mentioned a profound insight in your reflection, that just because something feels destined doesn't mean it guarantees happiness. Jung would agree. Destiny is not automatic. It requires awareness. Otherwise, we sleepwalk into relationships expecting the other person to be a dream, and end up waking in a nightmare. Think of projection like a movie screen. We meet someone new, and our unconscious mind starts playing a film of ideal beauty, tenderness, strength, adventure, safety, but none of that about them. It's about us. We assign them roles in a story they never agreed to play. That's how many relationships begin, in fantasy. And that's also how they end, in disillusionment. Real connection can only begin when the projection fades. That's the hard truth Jung teaches us. Love is not the feeling of perfection at first sight. Love is what remains when we start seeing the other person as they truly are, flawed, human, complex, and choose to stay anyway. To truly meet your soulmate, you must first withdraw your projections. That means asking yourself hard questions. Am I in love with this person, or with how they make me feel? Am I seeing their soul, or my fantasy of what they could be? Jung believed that this is where real love begins, when we let go of illusion and open ourselves to truth. So, if your relationships have felt like a pattern, highs that crash into confusion or disappointment, it may be time to stop looking out there and start looking inward. Not to give up on love, but to prepare for it, because love is not about finding the perfect person. It's about learning to love someone as they are, while doing the hard work of becoming who you truly are. When you stop projecting, you stop chasing ghosts, and in that clarity, you finally make space for something real. For values and the shadow all say we want a relationship built on respect, compassion, honesty, and patience. But Carl Jung would ask, are you living those values, or thus preaching them? You beautifully mentioned the importance of higher values, and you're absolutely right. They are the bedrock of any lasting relationship. But here's the catch. According to Jung, we cannot truly live by these values until we confront what he called the shadow. The shadow is the dark side of your personality. Not evil, but repressed. It's everything you don't want to see in yourself. Jealousy, control, pride, rage, insecurity, and yet, it's always there, shaping your reactions, your expectations, and your relationships, especially when you pretend it is. And single quotes take a simple example. Someone who prides themselves on being kind and calm. They hate conflict. They preach patience. But the truth is, they've simply buried their anger. So when their partner expresses frustration, they silently judge them, withdraw, or become passive-aggressive. They expect the other to be composed, while secretly boiling inside. This is what happens when we reject our shadow. We unconsciously project it onto others, especially those we love. Jung warned us that true harmony in a relationship doesn't come from pretending to be virtuous. It comes from owning your contradictions. You want to build a relationship rooted in compassion. First, meet the part of you that lacks it. You want to be patient with someone else's flaws. Then be honest about your own. Love, real love, isn't a performance of perfection. It's the integration of opposites, the light and the dark, the conscious and the unconscious. Only then can values like honesty, empathy, and humility become real expressions, not just ideals. In a world that tells us to always look good, always be positive, Jung invites us to go the opposite way, inward, not to become darker, but to become whole. Because only when you make peace with your own shadow can you stop demanding from your partner what you haven't yet cultivated in yourself. And in that space of mutual self-awareness and radical honesty, the virtues we admire become the foundation of something stronger than fantasy, a conscious, grounded, resilient love. 5. Appearance and symbol. Live in a time where talking about appearance often feels shallow. People are quick to say, looks don't matter. But Carl Jung would disagree, not from a place of vanity, but from a place of deep symbolic truth. For Jung, the body is not separate from the soul. The way you present yourself, how you walk, how you dress, how you care for your physical being, is not just external. It's an outer expression of your inner world, a symbol, a message. So when you care for your appearance, not obsessively, but intentionally, you are telling the world, I respect myself. I am awake. I am ready to be seen. And in love, this matters more than we like to admit. You mentioned that it's important to take care of yourself, not only to attract someone, but to keep the relationship alive, even after years together. Jung would say this isn't superficial, it's spiritual discipline made visible. A person who values harmony, respect, and connection must also reflect those values in how they carry themselves, because appearance is not just about aesthetics, it's about energy. The way we present ourselves signals to others, consciously or unconsciously, what kind of relationship we're ready for. Let's be honest, if you neglect your physical presence, if you abandon your vitality, if you forget that your body is part of your being, you're not just dimming attraction, you're disconnecting from your own essence. Think of a man who walks with presence, not arrogance, but groundedness. Or a woman who radiates care in how she moves, how she dresses, how she breathes life into a room. These aren't shallow details. They're living symbols of someone who honors themselves, and who, therefore, is ready to honor another. Jung taught that symbols are bridges between the conscious and the unconscious. When you consciously align your inner values with your outer expression, you become integrated, authentic, attractive in the deepest sense of the word. Not because of perfection, but because of congruence. So no, caring for your appearance is not about seduction. It's about devotion to yourself, to life, and to the one you hope to walk beside. Because when you treat yourself like someone worth loving, you become someone who can love and be loved with depth, presence, and intention. So, what does it really mean to find your soulmate? Not a perfect person, not a savior, not someone to fill your emptiness or heal your wounds, but someone who meets you in truth because you've already met yourself. Carl Jung didn't see love as a fairy tale. He saw it as an alchemical fire, something that burns away illusion, awakens the soul, and reveals who we really are beneath the masks. To build a love that lasts, you must recognize and integrate the anima and animus within. You must walk the path of individuation, becoming whole, not waiting to be completed. You must peel away your projections to finally see the other as they are, not as your fantasy. You must face your shadow. So, your values aren't just words, but lived truths. And yes, you must honor your own image, because your body is not a costume. It's the visible language of your soul. This is not easy work, but it is sacred work, because in the end, the soulmate isn't found in a flash of fate. They're revealed when two people commit to walking through the fire of transformation, together. Not as to halves, but as to whole, conscious, evolving souls. If this message spoke to you, if it challenged you, or opened something inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Subscribe. Like. And join us on this path toward building relationships that don't just survive, but illuminate, evolve, and heal. Because the world doesn't need more perfect couples. It needs more awake souls, choosing each other with eyes wide open.